Good afternoon, folks. Excuse me, Robert Chappell here, Executive Editor, Madison365, with your daily update for today, which is Monday, the 10th of June. Today is Monday, which means it is Metcalf's Monday. Metcalf's is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated market with stores in Madison, at Hilldale, and behind the West Town Mall, and in Wauwatosa at 68th and State. If you want to get to know Wisconsin cheese, Metcalf's is a great place to start. Lots and lots of Wisconsin cheeses to choose from a friendly team who will help you find just what you're looking for. And you can always do that online as well at shopmetcalfs.com. And we appreciate Metcalf's and their support of the update and of Madison365. I did a double take when I looked at the numbers today because I expected them to be high. I expected them to go up. I expected a big number today, but I didn't quite expect this big. So as you know, Mondays are low. Usually we have a lower number of cases confirmed on Mondays because the staff are not there on Sunday to process the tests. I mean, the staff is there, but not as much. They're not doing as many tests. They're not processing as many tests. They're not entering as much data. So usually we get, a few hundred or 1,000 positive tests on a Monday. Today, they have 5,257, which is huge for a Monday. That's huge for a Monday. That means tomorrow they're almost certain to break the record again. We broke the record on Friday with more than 12,000 new cases. Today, 5,257. Tomorrow is going to be 13, 14, 15,000. I'll bet you $1. Our 7-day average was 7,600 something on Friday. That's a daily average of new cases, 7,600 on Friday. Today it is, and that was up by several hundred, which is a big jump. Today it is 9,063. In the past 7 days, we've seen 9,063 new cases per day. That's 63,000 new cases in the past week. That's a jump of 1,400 in the daily average since Friday. That's a lot of new cases. We're also recording 2,141 probable cases as a 7-day average. I don't really pay attention to probable cases just because they're probable, they're not confirmed, but the state has a pretty high bar for tagging these as probable. So, realistically, we're looking at actually closer to 11,000 new cases a day in the past 7 days, 9,000 of which are confirmed. Now, our positive test rate is Friday's positive test rate, which was 26.8 or something like that on Friday, has now been revised upward to 29.4%. Today is being reported at 27%. I assume tomorrow that'll get updated to closer to 29 or 30%, which is insane. 3% is where, if you're under 3%, you're like, you got it under control. You get to 10%, you're in the red zone. We're at close to 30. Now, the question is, do all those cases translate to hospitalizations and deaths, or is this running rampant through vaccinated people who get sick for a couple of days and then are fine? Right now, it is definitely hitting the hospitals. With interesting hospitalization numbers today. A big jump in hospitalizations, hospital admissions due to COVID-19 overall. We are now at 2,259, which unfortunately, the Wisconsin Hospital Association website doesn't go all the way, doesn't show me data all the way back to the beginning. So you can't see I can't, and I don't remember off the top of my head what the total was at the peak last year, but it was about 2,300. So we're basically back there. We're back to setting our, the peak hospitalizations was hit in November and December last year, about 2,300. Today we're at 2,259. All the bigger concern to me than the number. I mean, the number is a problem, but it's the rapidity, the speed with which that number is going up. It's a 17% increase in the past week. Now, what's interesting though is that this latest surge, which is, when I say latest surge, I mean just in the past week or so, has not had the same effect and the impact on intensive care units. We have 104 more people hospitalized today than yesterday. Okay, hospitalized population went up by 104 just in the past 24 hours. In the meantime, the ICU population went down by 9 in that same 24-hour period. I have no idea how to account for that. Is that just a weird day, maybe? The current ICU population with COVID-19 is 472. That's still pretty high. It's 10 more than a week ago, which is a much less steep increase than the general hospitalization population, right? So I'm not sure how to account for that. I'm not sure why that would be, unless that the people are being hospitalized with cases of COVID-19 that are slightly less severe, like the severe enough to be hospitalized, but not severe enough to land in the ICU. I'm not sure what to make of that number. I'll keep an eye on it. It might just be a fluky, weird day today, right? We'll see what happens. Now, we do have 66 ICU beds available in the state. That's more than we had on Friday, but it's still not nearly enough, right? There are now 2 ICU beds available in the Fox Valley. There were 0 last week. And now there are still 0 in the Western region, which is like sort of La Crosse, Eau Claire area. So that's the hospitalization situation. The deaths are also up. We anticipated. I see you got a few questions, and I'll get to those in just a minute. We've been talking about this, anticipating a surge in deaths, an increase in deaths, right? We've been talking about that it's a 4 to 5 week lag time between you see an increase in cases, then you see an increase in deaths. We are now seeing the increase in deaths. We're now at 28 per day. On Friday, that was 21. Okay, that's a big jump. That's with only 2 deaths confirmed yesterday, so there must have been a lot confirmed. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there are only 4 confirmed on Friday, 1 confirmed on Sunday. But so I'm not sure how that average went up so high, but it is at 28 right now. So that's not great. Do you have any data? This is a great question, Elizabeth. Do you have any data on the rate of hospitalization of vaccinated versus unvaccinated? I've anecdotally heard that most hospitalizations are unvaccinated, but do we have numbers? That's a great question. We don't have a great sense of how many of those who are hospitalized are vaccinated. We do have some local hospital systems have been releasing that number. So, like, for example, at St. Mary's in Madison, we know that there, 71% of those that are hospitalized are unvaccinated. That was as of last week. That's just one hospital, though. So it's not really dispositive of the entire situation. The other day, we have the data going the other direction, though, which is to say, we know in Wisconsin how many vaccinated people get hospitalized, and we know how many unvaccinated people get hospitalized. See what I mean? Unfortunately, the numbers that we have right now aren't very useful. And I'll put a link in the comments for you, Elizabeth, just so you can see this data. But the latest data, the state has been putting that data out on the 15th of every month. So the last set of data we got was on December 15th, and it was for the month of November. But the way this thing is going, like it's already 6 weeks old, it's almost useless because it's pre-Omicron, right? So on January 15th, we will get the December numbers of that data, which will show us of the vaccinated population, how many people tested positive, how many people were hospitalized, how many people died, and then of the unvaccinated population. But again, that'll be December, which is only going to catch a little bit of Omicron. And then February 15th, we'll see January, which will be much more useful in terms of what we're dealing with right now. So unfortunately, it's delayed. But I will, because you asked, and it's a good question, and it's interesting data. I'm going to drop a link into the comments for you. Unfortunately, I can't respond directly to your comment, but I can drop this in there. So it's the illness after vaccine page on the DHS website. Jean Marie is right here that the surge of Omicron is predicted to peak in 2 weeks. I think that's a little bit optimistic, to be honest with you. I think my prediction, such as it is, my speculation, is that we'll see the peak on the coasts in New York and California, Atlanta, Florida, the real hotspots, in about 2 weeks. And then we are always a week or two behind. Like we didn't get our Omicron surge on until really the 29th, 30th of December, when it was already raging in New York. Right? So we're always a week or two behind the coasts, going up and coming down. The same thing happened with Delta. We were late on the Delta surge and we're late on the Delta decline, later than the coasts. So my personal prediction is that we will be hitting our peak Omicron like the 1st of February. That's I realize that and Jean Marie, when you say that it's predicting, I'm not contradicting you. You're not wrong. The sort of experts are saying it'll be about 2 weeks. I think it'll be a little bit later than that. That's just me though. So I would buckle in, plan on this going on, and plan on seeing 15,000 cases a day for the next little bit. This is interesting. Laura makes an interesting point. The peak last year, it's not even last year anymore. It's 2020. The peak in November 2020 was when Dane County had capacity limits, had bans on gatherings, had mask mandates, etc. But which helped keep it in check a little bit. But nobody was vaccinated. So now we're 60-something% vaccinated, but we don't have any of those other mitigation measures in place. Right, so it's kind of a trade-off. Like if we had both vaccines and the mitigation measures and the capacity limits and the bans on gatherings and stuff like that, we'd probably be seeing fewer cases. But that's not how it's gone. I don't know locally here. Jessica asks, are we having a lot of people traveling on a plane places? Airline travel is up. Airline travel over the holidays was higher than 2019 levels, higher than pre-pandemic travel. So yes, the answer to that is yes. All these numbers I'm giving you are statewide. Emily asks, are these numbers Madison or Dane County? These numbers are Wisconsin. I will say Dane County, Dane County is changing the way they're reporting the data. I usually don't talk about just Dane County here, unless it's remarkable. But Dane County saw 4,000 new cases just over the weekend. But I've talked about this before, where when the state adds cases to the big number, the 5,000 cases today are all cases that were entered into the data that day. Dane County is actually no longer going to wait for the state, and they're going to report their preliminary data as it's coming in. So Dane County is actually going to be ahead of the state by a day or two, which is not that confusing because I don't really report Dane County in here that much. But thank you for the question, Emily. There's another question here. Should we be scared? Jessica asks. I don't think you should be scared. I don't think being scared does much. I think we should be vigilant. We should be wary. We've lived through it this long, right? We know what to do. Right? I'm less scared now than I was a year and a half ago. Does that make sense? Like, we know how to handle this. We know what to do. We know we got it. If you're vaccinated, you're probably okay. If you're otherwise healthy. If you don't have a condition that makes the vaccines less effective for you, you don't really have anything to be scared of. It's a tremendously taxing situation. It's a difficult thing, but I don't think we need to be scared. Does that make sense? Okay, I think that's all the COVID numbers. They're ridiculous. They're very high. We haven't seen anything like this to this point. Ideally, this will go really fast and really hard. And this month of January will be big, big numbers. And then it'll go away. And we'll get back to more manageable levels. In the meantime, get vaccinated if you're not. Get boosted if you're not. Stay home if you can. Mask up. Get those masks on. K95s if you can get them. We're going to take a short pause and we'll talk one other COVID-related story and then one or two other not minor, but one or two other local news stories for you that you'll be interested in. And we'll be back right on the other side of this. All right. So on Saturday, I posted this about the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County has ordered 200,000 of these masks with the understanding that kids are back in school, university's coming back, kids are back in daycare in the midst of this Omicron surge. And those sort of more medical masks are better than the cloth ones. The cloth ones aren't doing you any good anymore, apparently, because of Omicron. So the Boys and Girls Club bought those. They've already distributed like 2 million masks. And they bought 200,000 of these ones because the ones they've done before were the cloth ones. And just recognizing the need, they just went and bought them, hoping that the community would step up to make donations. So if you go to Madison365.org, you can click on that picture, get to the story about it, and there's a link there to donate if you want to. After our story posted, somebody in the governor's office saw my article about it and came up with another 200,000 masks from Wisconsin Emergency Management to give to the Boys and Girls Club to distribute to schools, daycare providers, etc. in Dane County. So they may be able to lower the need for donations, but still, if you want to support that effort, go ahead and click that picture and click the link to donate to the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County and the Dane County Mask Fund. Also today, unrelated to COVID, if you want to, we can quit talking about COVID for a minute. Dr. Christina Outlay is the new executive director of MADEM, which is a nonprofit organization we've talked about a lot here. It was founded by Winnie Karanja back in 2015 to provide mostly middle school girls, kids of color, training in coding, right? Because it's a STEM and technology is a field that is overwhelmingly white and male. So Winnie has been working with this organization, created this organization to create those educational opportunities but has sort of moved on from that, and the board has hired Christina Outlay to be the new executive director of that organization. Christina Outlay is a professor of IT at UW-Whitewater and also runs her own nonprofit organization called Color Coded that focuses on getting kids of color into other IT fields other than coding. There's a lot of IT stuff that has nothing to do with coding. So this is kind of a merger of the two organizations. And Dave Dahmer, our editor-in-chief, wrote the terrific profile of Christina and of her plans for the organization. It's a great nonprofit that you could support also. So take a look at that story when you can. That is all the news I have for you for today. Once again, take a deep breath. Don't be scared. Stay informed. The vaccination data will come out in later this week, Friday, right? So we'll have that for you when it comes out. We'll have more numbers for you tomorrow, as well as more news. So in the meantime, get your boosters, wear your masks, stay home if you can. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
This is 365 Media.